video from my 2016 Sammy's camera demo dive day aboard the Magician. On this trip, I was fortunate enough to get 2 dives in with the Sony A7RII in an Aquatica housing. I'm more of a macro and video shooter, and this was really more set up for still photography. The camera had a 28mm prime lens set up, along with a 16mm fisheye converter. So all the videos that you see here are going to be in the 16mm fisheye. I must confess, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. The camera was set up to manual mode. These were some high-end photographers who were on this trip, and they knew how to change all of their aperture and ISO, etc. settings based on the environment. So I was kind of muddling around and was very pleased with myself when I figured out how to change the ISO underwater. However, I was still able to get some really amazing footage. All of this footage is with dual Sola 2000 lumen lights, and because it was a fisheye, you're going to see more Garibaldi, kelp bass, and reefscapes than in any of my videos. We did 3 dives at Ship Rock. The idea being that you didn't have to focus on exploring the area. You could do 1 dive, figure out where things are, then practice with the camera on the rest. Here's a bunch of half moons and my dive buddy in the background. Overall, the conditions were great. The first 50 or so feet was in the 60s. It got cooler at depth, down into the 50s. This right here was one of my favorite shots. These Gorgonians are some of my favorite subjects. I was actually able to take some photographs on this demo. There are 2 separate buttons for video and for photos. So I was able to set up here, and then when I was done with the video, I'd stop the recording and quickly take a picture. A couple of them actually came out fairly decent. I was pleasantly surprised. Part of the point of this was to test the in-body image stabilization that the camera has. The A7R II, or actually the A7 II series of Sony cameras, is unique. This is my favorite shot right here. I've got a great still of this one. The A7R II or A7 II series is unique in that it is the first of the Sony cameras that has in-body image stabilization. So you can use other lenses, including third-party lenses, and still have some image stabilization. This gives you a couple of stops of boost in performance. Or for the videographer like myself, you can film without being on a tripod, and it's still fairly stable. This is the underwater arch that's at Ship Rock. I got a video of going through it one direction, a video of coming back the other. While we were on our first dive, I believe, someone said they actually spotted 3 giant black sea bass here. I have yet to see any giant black sea bass this season. I've been skunked so far, so fingers crossed that I'll see some soon. Here's my dive buddy going through the arch to give you some scale of just how big it actually is. It's my first time finding this, so I was pleased that we were able to come across it. Our dives averaged about 45 minutes. The boat was quite crowded. There apparently were 40 folks. The Magician's rated for 70, but 40 felt like a crowd. All in all, it was a really fun day. I got to see some interesting critters, try some amazing photography and videography equipment, and talk to some real experts in the field who were able to give us tips and whatnot. I'm going to upgrade from the GoPro one of these days. I'm just not quite sure what, but the A7R II is on the top of my list.